The most feared mafia boss in Seoul had a reputation that made grown men tremble. His enemies called him a monster. His allies called him a king. But none of them knew that the only person he truly feared was a 7-year-old girl who hadn't smiled in 3 years, and the woman who would change both their lives forever. This is the story of how an African nanny melted the heart of Korea's most dangerous mafia boss. Before we move on, tell me this in your mind. Would you trust a man who could destroy your life in a single decision? Now watch closely, because Amanda is about to find out. Rain hammered against the windows of the Kang estate. The mansion stood on a hill overlooking Seoul, surrounded by walls, cameras, and armed guards. Inside, the atmosphere felt colder than the weather outside. Employees moved quietly through the halls. Nobody laughed. Nobody spoke louder than necessary. Everyone knew one thing. When Kang Min-Jae was home, silence was survival. In his office, Min-Jae sat behind a massive desk. His black suit was immaculate, his expression unreadable. Across from him stood a frightened man, a rival gang member. Blood trickled from the corner of the man's mouth. "Please," the man begged. "I'll tell you everything." Min-Jae leaned forward, his dark eyes never blinking. Too late. The man froze. A guard stepped forward. Seconds later, the office door closed. The screams never reached outside. Min-Jae stared out the window, unmoved. Then his phone rang. His expression changed instantly, a rare flicker of concern. He answered. "What happened?" The housekeeper's voice trembled. "Sir?" Miss Soo-Min locked herself in her room again. Min-Jae closed his eyes. The feared mafia boss suddenly looked exhausted. "I'll be there." 7-year-old Kang Soo-Min sat on the floor of her bedroom, surrounded by untouched toys, unopened gifts, expensive dolls. None of it mattered. She stared at a framed photograph. Her mother, the woman she lost 3 years ago. A gentle knock sounded. No response. Another knock. Still silence. The door opened slowly. Min-Jae stepped inside. His terrifying reputation meant nothing here, because in this room, he was only a father. He crouched beside her. "Did you eat today?" "Nothing." "Soo-Min." "Nothing." His shoulders sank. 3 years. 3 years, and he still couldn't bring his daughter back. The doctors failed. The therapists failed. The teachers failed. And every nanny he hired quit within days. Soo-Min suddenly stood, walked past him, and locked herself in the bathroom. Min-Jae remained kneeling, defeated, for the first time all day. The next morning, Amanda Johnson stepped out of a taxi. Her eyes widened. The mansion looked less like a house and more like a fortress. 2 guards checked her identification. Another scanned her bag. Amanda raised an eyebrow. "Am I applying to be a nanny or entering a military base?" Nobody laughed. She swallowed. "Okay, tough crowd." Minutes later, she was escorted inside. The housekeeper looked skeptical. "You won't last." Amanda smiled politely. "People keep telling me that. 23 nannies before you." Amanda nearly choked. 23. The housekeeper nodded. Some lasted a week. Most lasted less than a day. Amanda suddenly wondered if she should have taken the kindergarten job instead. Then she heard footsteps. Everyone straightened immediately. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Kang Min-Jae had arrived. Tall, powerful, intimidating. Amanda had never seen anyone who looked so completely impossible to approach. Their eyes met. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Min-Jae looked at her file. Without emotion. "You have experience with traumatized children." "Yes." "You understand this job won't be easy." "I do. If my daughter rejects you, you're gone tomorrow." Amanda blinked, then smiled. "With respect, sir." The room froze. Nobody ever challenged Kang Min-Jae. Ever. Amanda continued. "If your daughter has rejected 23 nannies, maybe the problem isn't the nannies." The silence became deadly. Several staff members looked horrified. One guard nearly stopped breathing. Min-Jae stared at her. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 15 seconds. Then unexpectedly, the corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Almost. "Interesting." Amanda stood outside Soo-Min's room. Everyone expected another disaster. Another rejection. Another resignation. Amanda took a deep breath and entered. The little girl sat by the window, ignoring her completely. Amanda didn't speak. She didn't force conversation. She simply sat on the floor. Minutes passed. 5, 10, 15. Still silence. Finally, Soo-Min glanced over. Confused. Most adults couldn't tolerate silence. This woman seemed comfortable with it. Amanda smiled gently. I like your drawing. Soo-Min looked away. Amanda nodded. That's okay. You don't have to talk. More silence. Then Amanda pulled out a notebook and began drawing. Terribly. Very terribly. Soo-Min looked over again. Amanda's drawing of a cat looked more like a potato. The little girl's lips twitched. Just slightly. Amanda pretended not to notice. She continued drawing disasters. A dog that looked like a shoe. A bird that looked like a pineapple. Then suddenly, a tiny laugh. The room froze. Not literally, but emotionally, because it was the first laugh anyone had heard from Soo-Min in years. Standing outside the room, watching through the slightly open door, Min-Jae heard it too, and for the first time in 3 years, the feared Mafia boss felt tears sting his eyes. For 3 years, the Kang mansion had felt like a tomb. Now, for the first time, life was returning. The next morning, Amanda walked into the dining room expecting another battle with Soo-Min. Instead, she stopped in surprise. The little girl was already sitting at the table, waiting. Amanda smiled. Good morning. Soo-Min looked down shyly, then whispered something. The housekeeper dropped a plate. A guard nearly choked on his coffee. Amanda blinked. Sorry, sweetheart. Can you repeat that? Soo-Min looked at her. I said, good morning. The room went silent. The child who barely spoke had just initiated a conversation. Amanda smiled warmly. Good morning, Soo-Min. From the doorway, Min-Jae watched. His expression remained calm, but inside, his heart was breaking and healing at the same time. Later that afternoon, Amanda was helping Soo-Min paint. Colorful handprints covered a giant sheet of paper. They were laughing, actually laughing. Then a loud noise echoed outside. A convoy of black SUVs entered the estate. The atmosphere changed instantly. Guards rushed into position. Employees straightened. The warmth vanished. Amanda noticed. What happened? The housekeeper looked nervous. Business meeting. Amanda frowned. What kind of business needs assault rifles? The woman immediately looked away. Don't ask questions. Meanwhile, in a private conference room, several powerful men sat around a table. Gang leaders, money launderers, criminal financiers. People feared across Asia. Yet every one of them looked uncomfortable. Because Kang Min-Jae sat at the head of the table. One man cleared his throat. The Busan organization is refusing to cooperate. Min-Jae didn't look up. Then remove them. The room fell silent. Remove them? Min-Jae finally raised his eyes. Cold. Deadly. I don't like repeating myself. Nobody argued. Nobody questioned him. Because everyone knew exactly why he was called. The King of Seoul. That evening, Amanda accidentally entered the wrong hallway. She was looking for the library. Instead, she found something else. A security room. Dozens of monitors. Armed guards. Weapons. Secret surveillance feeds. Amanda's stomach tightened. Then she noticed a file left open on a desk. A newspaper clipping. The headline made her freeze. Underworld King Kang Min-Jae suspected of organized crime links. Her heart pounded. No. No way. She grabbed another file. And another. Then another. Every single one said the same thing. Crime. Violence. Mafia. The man she worked for wasn't a businessman. He was one of the most feared criminals in Korea. Amanda slowly sat down. Suddenly everything made sense. The guards. The fear. The secrecy. The weapons. The mansion. The silence. That night she couldn't sleep. Unable to rest, Amanda walked into the mansion garden. Moonlight illuminated the flowers. The air was cool, peaceful, until she saw him. Min-Jae sat alone beside a fountain, a glass of whiskey in his hand. For once, he looked human, not dangerous, not powerful, just tired. Amanda hesitated, then sat nearby. Neither spoke. Several minutes passed. Finally, Min-Jae broke the silence. You found out. Amanda looked at him. You knew? I knew eventually you would. Amanda folded her arms. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have accepted the job? No. Exactly. Amanda sighed. I work with children. I know. You hurt people. Min-Jae looked away. Amanda expected him to defend himself. Instead, he surprised her. I've done worse than hurt people. The honesty caught her off guard. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Min-Jae said quietly, but none of that changes how much I love my daughter. Amanda looked at him, and for the first time, she saw pain behind the monster. The next day, Amanda found Soo-Min sitting alone in the garden, drawing. Amanda sat beside her. What are you making? The little girl hesitated. then handed over the sketchbook. Amanda's heart sank. Every page contained the same thing. A family portrait. Mother, father, child. Over and over. Again and again. The mother's face never changed. Soo-Min stared at the drawing. I miss her. Amanda swallowed hard. I know. No, you don't. Amanda didn't respond. The little girl's eyes filled with tears. Everybody tells me to stop being sad. Amanda gently held her hand. Then everybody is wrong. Soo-Min looked at her. Amanda continued softly. You don't stop loving someone because they died. The little girl's tears finally fell. And for the first time, she cried in someone's arms. Weeks passed. The mansion transformed. Employees smiled again. Soo-Min laughed daily. Even Min-Jae seemed less cold. Which was exactly the problem. Because someone was watching. Someone who hated every second of it. Choi Hyun-woo, Min-Jae's second-in-command. His most trusted lieutenant. And secretly, his future enemy. Hyun-woo watched Amanda playing with Soo-Min. His jaw tightened. The boss was distracted. Weaker. Emotional. That made him vulnerable. And vulnerable leaders could be replaced. One afternoon, Soo-Min nervously handed Amanda a flyer. Amanda smiled. A dance recital? The little girl nodded. Amanda's eyes widened. You want to perform? Soo-Min nodded again. Amanda hugged her. That's amazing. The little girl hesitated. Then whispered. Will Daddy come? Amanda froze. She knew the answer. Min-Jae never attended public events. Too dangerous. Too risky. Too many enemies. But when Amanda asked him later, something unexpected happened. Min-Jae stared at the invitation, then quietly said, What time does it start? The recital hall was packed. Parents filled every seat. Children ran everywhere. For the first time in years. Soo-Min looked happy. Backstage, she held Amanda's hand tightly. I'm scared. Amanda smiled. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. What does it mean? Amanda looked toward the audience. Toward Min-Jae, who had actually shown up. It means doing it anyway. Minutes later, the performance began. Soo-Min danced beautifully, and when it ended, the audience erupted into applause. The little girl immediately searched the crowd, looking for one face, one person, her father, and there he was, standing, clapping, proud. Soo-Min burst into tears. Happy tears. The kind she hadn't cried in years. Amanda turned toward Min-Jae. Their eyes met across the room. Something shifted. Neither could explain it. Neither could stop it. For the first time, the Mafia boss wasn't looking at Amanda as an employee, and Amanda wasn't looking at him as her employer. They were looking at each other as a man and a woman. A dangerous beginning. Because in Min-Jae's world, love always came with a price. Some feelings arrive slowly. Others strike like lightning. For Amanda and Min-Jae, it was both. Neither wanted it. Neither planned it. Yet every day, it grew stronger and more dangerous. A few days after the recital, Amanda found herself thinking about Min-Jae far more than she should. She noticed little things now. The way he always checked on Soo-Min before leaving the mansion. The way he quietly made sure every employee's family was protected. The way he hid his kindness behind a wall of coldness. Meanwhile, Min-Jae was losing a battle he never expected to fight. A battle against his own heart. For years, he had buried every emotion after his wife's death. Then Amanda arrived, and somehow, she made him feel alive again. One evening, a violent thunderstorm hit Seoul. Lightning flashed across the sky. Rain crashed against the mansion windows. Amanda was reading a bedtime story to Soo-Min when the lights suddenly went out. The little girl immediately panicked. Amanda hugged her. It's okay. Another flash of lightning illuminated the room. Soo-Min buried her face in Amanda's shoulder. Then the bedroom door opened. Min-Jae entered carrying a flashlight. The moment Soo-Min saw him, she ran into his arms. Something she hadn't done in years. Min-Jae looked stunned. Slowly, he hugged her back. Amanda watched quietly. Her chest tightened. The sight of father and daughter healing together was beautiful and heartbreaking. Later that night, after Soo-Min had fallen asleep, Amanda walked through the mansion. She accidentally discovered a locked room. The door stood slightly open. Curious, she stepped inside, then froze. The room belonged to Min-Jae's late wife. Everything remained untouched. Photographs, books, clothes, jewelry. It was as if time had stopped. Amanda carefully examined a family photo. A smiling Min-Jae stood beside his wife, holding a much younger Soo-Min. The happiness on his face was almost unrecognizable. She was beautiful. Amanda jumped. Min-Jae stood behind her. She turned. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be here. He shook his head. No one comes here anymore. Amanda looked around. You loved her very much. Min-Jae stared at a photograph. More than my own life. Silence filled the room. Then he added quietly. When she died, part of me died too. Amanda's heart broke for him. Without thinking, she gently touched his hand. Neither moved away. Neither spoke. For several seconds, the world seemed to disappear. Then they quickly stepped apart, both shaken by what had just happened. Across the city, Choi Hyun-woo sat inside a luxury penthouse. A rival gang leader sat opposite him. The atmosphere was tense. The gang leader frowned. You want to betray Min-Jae? Hyun-woo smiled. I want what's mine. You've served him for years. I've built his empire for years. The gang leader leaned forward. And the nanny? Hyun-woo's eyes darkened. She's making him weak. A dangerous silence followed. Then Hyun-woo said, remove her. The next afternoon, Amanda took Soo-Min to a nearby park. Several guards accompanied them. Children played. Parents chatted. Everything seemed normal. Until a black van stopped nearby. Amanda noticed it immediately. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. The van doors suddenly burst open. Masked men rushed out. Weapons drawn. People screamed. Children ran. Chaos exploded everywhere. One attacker grabbed Amanda. Another moved towards Soo-Min. The little girl cried out in terror. Then, a gunshot. One attacker fell. Another. Then another. Black SUVs stormed into the park. Armed security surrounded the area. And at the center of it all, Kang Min-Jae. His face looked murderous. The attackers quickly retreated. Within seconds, the fight was over. Amanda's legs nearly gave out. Min-Jae reached her. His eyes scanned her frantically, checking for injuries, checking for blood, checking if she was alive. Amanda noticed, and suddenly realized something terrifying. He wasn't looking at her like an employee. He was looking at her like someone he loved. Back at the mansion, Amanda sat quietly in the medical room. A small cut on her arm was being treated. Min-Jae entered. Everyone else immediately left. The room fell silent. Amanda looked up. You knew this could happen? He didn't answer. That told her everything. Her voice trembled. Soo-Min could have been killed. I know. I could have been killed. His jaw tightened. I know. Amanda stood. Angry now. Then why keep me here? Min-Jae suddenly snapped. Because I can't let you go. The words escaped before he could stop them. The room became silent. Neither moved. Neither breathed. Amanda stared at him. Min-Jae looked away. For the first time, the feared Mafia boss looked vulnerable. That night, Amanda couldn't sleep. Neither could Min-Jae. Both found themselves outside in the garden. Again, as if fate kept bringing them together. The moon reflected across the fountain water. Amanda broke the silence. You scared me today. Min-Jae looked at her. I was scared too. She blinked. You? A bitter smile appeared. When I saw those men grab you. He stopped. Amanda waited. His voice became softer. I realized losing you would destroy me. Amanda's breath caught. Every wall between them suddenly collapsed. The distance felt unbearable. The silence felt electric. Slowly, carefully, Min-Jae stepped closer. Amanda didn't move away. Another step. Closer. Their eyes locked. Then finally, he kissed her. Softly, gently, like a man terrified she might disappear. Amanda kissed him back. For a moment, nothing else existed. No mafia. No danger. No enemies. Just two lonely people finding each other. Unknown to them, someone was watching. From a nearby security camera feed. Choi Hyun-woo. His expression was cold. Calculating. Dangerous. The screen reflected in his eyes. The kiss. The closeness. The weakness. Exactly what he needed. A slow smile spread across his face. Because now he knew how to destroy Kang Min-Jae. Not through money. Not through power. Not through violence. Through Amanda. For the first time in years, Kang Min-Jae had allowed himself to love. And that would become the greatest mistake of his life. Because while Amanda was falling in love with Seoul's most dangerous mafia boss, his enemies were preparing to turn her into their next target. And the coming war would change everything. Love had finally entered the Kang mansion. But peace never lasts long in a world built on violence. And someone was preparing to destroy it all. The morning after the kiss, Amanda woke up feeling different. Happy, terrified, confused, every emotion at once. Downstairs, she found Min-Jae at the breakfast table. For a moment, their eyes met. Neither knew what to say. Then Soo-Min walked in. Immediately noticing the awkwardness, the little girl narrowed her eyes. Why are you both acting weird? Amanda nearly choked on her tea. Min-Jae coughed into his coffee. Soo-Min looked between them, then smiled. A mischievous smile. And suddenly Amanda knew. The child had figured it out. Meanwhile, inside a secret warehouse, Hyun-woo gathered several loyal men. Maps covered the walls. Photographs were spread across a table. At the center sat one picture. Amanda. One of the men hesitated. Boss, are we really doing this? Hyun-woo stared at Amanda's photograph. Min-Jae's weakness is no longer a secret. The man swallowed. She's just a nanny. No. Hyun-woo smiled coldly. She's the woman he loves. That evening, Amanda and Min-Jae stood on the mansion balcony. The city lights sparkled below. For once, neither spoke about danger, or crime, or enemies. They simply enjoyed each other's company. Amanda looked at him. What would you be if this life never happened? Min-Jae laughed softly. A rare sound. I wanted to be a teacher. Amanda stared. A teacher? He nodded. My mother was one. Amanda smiled. The terrifying Mafia boss wanted to teach children? He rolled his eyes. Amanda laughed. The sound warmed something deep inside him. Then his expression became serious. I don't want this life anymore. Amanda looked at him carefully. What are you saying? He took her hand. The gesture was gentle, almost fragile. I'm saying I want a future. Amanda's heart raced. A future with who? Min-Jae looked directly into her eyes. With you. 3 nights later, the attack came. Just after midnight. Explosions shattered the silence. Windows exploded inward. Alarms screamed. Guards rushed into action. Gunfire echoed through the estate. Amanda woke instantly. Soo-Min was crying. The little girl ran into her arms. Amanda grabbed her. It's okay. But she wasn't sure it was. Outside the room, chaos erupted. Bullets struck walls. Men shouted orders. The mansion had become a battlefield. Then the bedroom door burst open. Min-Jae entered, covered in blood. Amanda gasped. You're hurt. It's not mine. He grabbed both of them. We have to move. They rushed through secret hallways beneath the mansion. Explosions shook the walls. Dust fell from the ceiling. Amanda carried Soo-Min. Min-Jae led the way. Then suddenly, an attacker appeared. A gun pointed directly at Amanda. Everything happened in seconds. The trigger pulled. The gun fired. Amanda froze, certain she was about to die. Then Min-Jae stepped in front of her. The bullet slammed into his shoulder. Blood exploded across his shirt. Amanda screamed. Min-Jae staggered, but remained standing. The attacker fired again. This time Min-Jae's guards eliminated him. The danger passed, but Min-Jae collapsed. Amanda dropped beside him, tears filling her eyes. Why would you do that? His face twisted in pain. Yet somehow he smiled. Because losing you would hurt more. Hours later, the attack was over. The surviving attackers had been captured. Min-Jae sat in a secure room, his injured shoulder wrapped in bandages. One captured gunman knelt before him. Terrified, Min-Jae's voice was calm. Too calm. Who sent you? The man hesitated. A guard slammed him against the floor. The man cried out, then finally shouted. Hyun-woo. The room went silent. Every guard froze. Min-Jae didn't move, didn't blink, didn't react, which somehow felt even more terrifying. His closest friend, his most trusted ally, the man who had stood beside him for years. The traitor. Later, Amanda found Min-Jae alone. His office was dark. The city lights illuminated his face. He looked exhausted, older, broken. She quietly sat beside him. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Min-Jae finally said, I trusted him. Amanda reached for his hand. He betrayed you. Min-Jae nodded. Because I became weak. Amanda immediately shook her head. No. He looked at her. Amanda's voice softened. You became human. The words hit harder than any bullet. The next day seemed peaceful. Too peaceful. The kind of calm that usually comes before disaster. Amanda and Soo-Min spent the afternoon painting. The little girl looked happier than ever. Then Amanda stepped away for less than 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That was all it took. When she returned, Soo-Min was gone. The paintbrush lay on the floor. A window stood open. Amanda's heart stopped. No, no, no. She ran through the room, searching everywhere, calling her name. Nothing. Then she saw it. A small note. 3 words. I have her. Amanda burst into Min-Jae's office, tears streaming down her face, the note trembling in her hand. The moment he read it, Something inside him broke. The room became silent. Deadly silent. Every guard felt it. Every employee felt it. The king of Seoul was no longer grieving. He was furious. And a furious Kang Min-Jae was far more dangerous than a grieving one. He slowly stood. His voice low. Controlled. Terrifying. Locked down every property. The guards nodded. Find Hyunwoo. Another nod. Then Min-Jae's eyes darkened. If anyone stands in my way. The room held its breath. His voice became ice. They'll wish they hadn't. Later that night, Amanda sat alone in Soo-Min's room, holding one of the child's stuffed animals. Crying. She replayed everything over and over. If she hadn't stepped away, if she had been more careful, if she had protected her better. A knock sounded. Min-Jae entered. Amanda immediately stood. I'm sorry. Her voice broke. I'm so sorry. Min-Jae walked toward her. Amanda expected anger, expected blame, expected hatred. Instead, he pulled her into his arms and held her tightly. It's not your fault. Amanda cried harder. Min-Jae closed his eyes. Because the truth was, he blamed himself too. A daughter had been stolen. A trusted friend had become an enemy. A kingdom was falling apart. And somewhere in the darkness, Soo-Min was waiting to be rescued. But Hyunwoo wasn't finished. Because the trap he had prepared would force Kang Min-Jae to choose between his empire and the people he loved. Soo-Min was scared, terrified, alone, but she was still her father's daughter. And Amanda had taught her something important. Being brave didn't mean you weren't afraid. It meant moving forward anyway. Soo-Min sat inside a small room in an abandoned warehouse. A single light bulb hung from the ceiling. Her hands trembled, but she refused to cry. Not anymore. Hyunwoo entered. The little girl immediately looked away. Hyunwoo crouched down. You know why you're here? Soo-Min remained silent. The man smiled. You really are your father's daughter. Then he stood and walked away. But as the door closed, Soo-Min noticed something. A shipping label on a nearby crate. A location. A name. A clue. And she memorized it. Back at the mansion, everyone searched desperately. Hours turned into a day. Then 2 days. No leads. No progress. No sign of Soo-Min. Amanda refused to give up. She spent hours reviewing security footage, watching every frame, again and again. Then suddenly, something caught her eye. One of the kidnappers had a tattoo, a dragon wrapped around a dagger. Amanda remembered seeing it before, months ago, inside one of Hyunwoo's warehouses. Her heart raced. She rushed to Min-Jae. I know where she might be. Min-Jae immediately gathered his men. Weapons were loaded. Vehicles prepared. Maps unfolded. The entire organization stood ready. One guard looked nervous. Boss, this could be a trap. Min-Jae stared at him. It is a trap. The guard swallowed. Then why go? Min-Jae's answer was simple. Because my daughter is there. No one argued after that. Before leaving, Min-Jae found Amanda alone. She stood near the mansion garden. The same place where they shared their first kiss. The same place where everything changed. Amanda looked at him. Fear filled her eyes. What if you don't come back? Min-Jae stepped closer. If I don't? Amanda immediately shook her head. No. He gently touched her face. For a moment neither spoke. Then he smiled. A real smile. The kind she rarely saw. Amanda. Her eyes filled with tears. I love you. The words hit her like a wave. Min-Jae had never said them before. Not directly. Not out loud. Amanda's voice trembled. I love you too. Then they kissed. Not like two people beginning a romance. Like two people afraid it might be their last goodbye. Night fell. The convoy approached the warehouse district. Rain poured from the sky. Thunder rolled overhead. The perfect setting for war. Inside the lead vehicle, Min-Jae remained silent. Focused. Determined. Nothing would stop him. Not tonight. Meanwhile, Soo-Min sat quietly. Waiting. Praying. Hoping. Then suddenly, gunfire exploded outside. The little girl's eyes widened. Voices shouted. Windows shattered. The rescue had begun. Back at the mansion, Amanda tried to wait. She really did. But after an hour, she couldn't. Sitting safely while the people she loved risked everything felt impossible. She secretly left the estate and headed toward the warehouse district. A decision she would soon regret. The warehouse became a war zone. Min-Jae's men clashed with Hyunwoo's forces. Bullets flew. Glass shattered. Metal echoed. Chaos erupted everywhere. Yet through it all, Min-Jae pushed forward. Only one thing mattered. Finding Soo-Min. Finally, he reached the room. The door burst open. Soo-Min looked up. For a second, she couldn't believe it. Then she screamed, "Daddy!" Min-Jae ran to her, dropping to his knees, pulling her into his arms. The little girl cried uncontrollably, and for the first time in days. So did he. Unfortunately, the nightmare wasn't over, because Hyun-woo had one final card to play. Amanda. She had arrived at the warehouse moments earlier, and Hyun-woo captured her immediately. Now she stood on an upper platform, a gun pointed at her head. Min-Jae froze. His worst fear had come true. Hyun-woo smiled. "Put your weapon down." Min-Jae obeyed. All of them. Again, he obeyed. The entire warehouse fell silent. Hyun-woo laughed. "Look at you." His voice dripped with contempt. The king of Seoul reduced to this. Hyun-woo raised his weapon. "If I kill her, what happens?" Min-Jae didn't answer. Couldn't answer. The thought alone was unbearable. Hyun-woo grinned. "Exactly." Then he shouted, "You chose her over your empire." Min-Jae looked directly at him. "No." Hyun-woo frowned. Min-Jae continued, "I chose love over fear." The warehouse fell silent. Even Amanda stopped breathing. Then Min-Jae added, "And I'd make that choice again." Hyun-woo pulled the trigger. Everything happened at once. A gunshot echoed. Amanda screamed. Min rushed forward. Then, Hyun-woo stumbled. A bullet struck his chest. One of Min-Jae's hidden snipers had fired. The traitor collapsed. Shocked, bleeding, defeated, Min-Jae approached slowly. Hyun-woo looked up. "Why?" His voice was weak. "I deserve the empire." Min-Jae shook his head. "No." Then he looked at Amanda. And Soo-Min. The empire was never worth this. Moments later, Hyun-woo took his final breath. Months passed. The criminal empire slowly dissolved. Min-Jae sold businesses, closed operations, handed over information that allowed authorities to dismantle what remained. For the first time in his life, he was free. Not powerful, not feared. Free. And surprisingly, he preferred it. The sun shone brightly over Seoul. Children laughed inside a beautiful counseling center. A sign outside read, "Amanda Children's Wellness Center." Amanda had fulfilled her dream, helping children heal, just as she helped Soo-Min heal. Inside, Soo-Min ran through the hallways. Happy, healthy, full of life. A completely different child from the one Amanda first met. That evening, Amanda arrived at a small park. Min-Jae and Soo-Min were waiting. The little girl looked unusually excited. Amanda laughed. "What are you planning?" Soo-Min grinned. "You'll see." Then she stepped aside, and Min-Jae walked forward, holding a small velvet box. Amanda immediately froze. Tears filled her eyes. Min-Jae dropped to one knee. The former Mafia boss. The man who once ruled Seoul through fear. Now trembling because of love. He opened the box. A beautiful ring sparkled inside. His voice cracked slightly. "Amanda Johnson." She covered her mouth. "I spent years believing my life was over." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Then you walked into my daughter's life." His eyes glistened. "And into mine." Soo-Min smiled through her own tears. Min-Jae took a deep breath, then asked, "Will you stay with us forever?" Amanda didn't hesitate, not even for a second. "Yes." As Amanda slipped the ring onto her finger, Soo-Min wrapped her arms around both of them. The three stood together beneath the setting sun. Not as a mafia family, not as a broken family, a real family, one built on love, healing, and second chances. Do you think Amanda and Jae-hoon should have ended up together? Comment love if they made the right choice, or leave if they should have walked away. And if you want more unforgettable Afro-Korean romance stories, hit subscribe and join our storytelling family.